Sketchbook tour with minimal editing. Can we do it? Let's find out. A while ago I said I would do my Ireland and Scotland sketchbook tour, and I didn't. So let's try do it now. First we may need to tidy this space. Not even planned, but like had to remove things from my kitchen that don't belong there, and the saw was in there. So was the rolling pin, but the rolling pin I don't use for baking. I use it for clay. All right. So welcome. This is my journal that I took with me to Dublin, Scotland, or Ireland in general, Scotland, London. Yes, these are all stickers by the cohort from Ireland, as well as some from a shop. No, a tourist, that one. And then the rest are by amazing artists who I travelled with, who are all ridiculously talented. Featuring bite marks. We bit each other's journals just to record our tooth marks for prosperity sake. Yeah, let's go. I don't like this page. I like that. I don't really like that. This was going to be the items that I took with me when we travelled. Let's put this up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so this was going to be the items I took on the plane, which I think I did. But I think I also took more. This was the flight page. The flight was very stressful. The first flight, my back was really sore, and the second flight was much better. I don't really know. I didn't have plans for how I was going to use this journal specifically. I didn't want it to be too planned, because I know that once I stuff up, I'll be sad. So it was kind of trying to be a little bit more loose and chill about it. This I did at the airport, I think, or on the plane. This is just all the things that I packed. And this, I think that was on the, I don't know. But just the pens didn't work on this paper, and this is very much a record of how I was feeling, because chaos. Yay. This was when we got to Kensington. We arrived in Kensington, London, and wanted to just go sit in a park, but where we were staying, all the parks are private. So you walk up to this beautiful park and you can't get in. And we did that a bunch of times before sitting on the side of a street on concrete steps. And then we ended up at the Natural History Museum. And then this was the next day. We went to Holland Park, which was incredible, just beautiful. There was also an operatic chorus rehearsing. It was just magnificent. The flowers, we went in summer, and the flowers are all so bright and colourful. It's just beautiful. We also went to Harrods, which is literally terrifying. It is a terrifying place. We met up with Sophie's friend Kat, and spent some time drawing and chatting and catching up, and ate a really expensive grilled cheese. It just was such a weird experience, and I had a really bad blister. It was a time. It was just full body overwhelm, and also incredible. This was the train from London to Holyhead Bay, where we were catching the ferry. and I just wanted to document colour and texture of the trip. And we started off sort of with the bright flowers in the city, and then sort of went into suburbia, and then into more fields and like country land. And as we got to closer to the sea, you ended up sort of more with seascapes, and it just got darker and darker as we went because the weather was also changing. And we saw castles. We went in a train under a castle, and yes, and then by the time we got there, it was like we were at the sea. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed doing this. This was very chill and like meditative, I guess. And this was on the ferry. It was raining. You couldn't see anything. We had a very chill ride, but it was just really rainy outside, so we couldn't see much. And yeah, hearing interesting conversations on the train, and the cabbie. Yeah, just interesting people, meeting interesting people. These are some of the tickets and detritus from the trip. This was us running to the train because we went to board with 15 minutes or 12 minutes to go, which is what they allow. And they said our tickets weren't valid. So Sophie ran to the ticket desk and had to buy new tickets. It was all quite a saga. And the bus driver, when we got to Dublin, there's not really any buses at that time, and the bus driver, apparently everyone wanted to go to Talbot Street. He was not happy, and he was not going to Talbot Street, and he wanted to make that very clear. But overall, hectic morning, pretty chill evening. This is Val. We stayed with Sophie's friend Val, and this was kind of just outside the city centre, I guess. I'm saying that as someone with no sense of direction, but it was quite central. And this was lovely, really nice. We had really nice pizza, and it was really relaxed. And in the pubs there, you're allowed dogs inside, and they can sit next to you. And that was spectacular. And I just really liked the rhythm of the buildings and the roads, and how it was very lived in, but in a way that was quite patterned. I don't know how to explain that, but this kind of element, it seems quite like dark and sterile, but it actually was really lived in and lovely. So yeah, it was very cool. This was getting to our accommodation for the first part of the tour, the Ireland tour. This man had 4 Irish wolfhounds and a little Irish terrier. Wild squirrels. I saw squirrels for the first time, and we had dinner at the Lincoln's Inn, which is famous because, what's his name? Can't remember his name. James Joyce, Henry Joyce. I don't know. A really famous author who was quite prudish, but actually was writing filthy love letters to his girlfriend, then wife. So that was very strange, very overwhelming, but lovely because we were with our tour friends. This was in a park. There were these trees with really gnarly trunks, and we'd found out that this park was where a lot of hangings had happened. And so, yes, representation of just kind of spirits stuck in trees and the strangeness of the environment. And that was a very nice time because by then we sat in a park and we're just chilling and getting to know everyone and drawing, which I loved. This was, I can't remember what it's called, the place. It was a castle. No, it was an old abbey on a hill, like a really tall hill, a very, very old abbey that was falling down. And then there was also a graveyard around it. And it was stunning because this massive abbey that is crumbling and is centuries old, that you can kind of walk through, and then surrounding you, you're up on this hill with all these old gravestones from so long ago, all the way to now, because people have sort of, it's still an active cemetery. And then down the hill, like down this hill, you're just looking out onto farmland and green and crops and animals, and it just was stunning. Beautiful space, beautiful. And again, here we got to sit down and draw and chat, and that was really nice. It was very overwhelming being around a bunch of people who I really liked, but also, like, it's just hard meeting new people. So I'd written to not be perceived, locating emotion in the fullness of music. So I had this feeling of like my emotions being too big and not being able to kind of ground them into anything, but listening to really full music was a way to kind of find a grounding place for those emotions, I think. Yep. We then went to St. Bridget's Well, which is comes from a natural spring that was then used like through the sort of church, I guess, and has become a location, a grounding point, I don't know the word, for people to pray and leave items related to sick people. So people will pray and leave tokens to St. Bridget to heal their family. A lot of young babies and like children, which was really sad, a lot of teddy bears and icons, and quite a few Ventolin puffers, which was also weirdly sad. There was something about the clash of old like religious iconography, ancientness, and this sort of ancient natural spring that's then tied in with this detritus that's been left like for so long. So you had these teddy bears that are obviously really synthetic, and fake flowers that are mottled and ruined by the weather, and yeah, puffers and really strange items that are obviously like incredibly, that person who left it there in that moment, like that's such a meaningful transaction, and then it stays there and people come and see it. It's just like a space that I find fascinating, and I wanted to spend more time there. And then here I wrote, finding a nest in the overwhelm, a liminal space from the time a song starts until the time it ends, and seeking another. So I think on the bus, because we were all on the bus together, I think I was using music to kind of just find landing spots, because again, I was super overwhelmed, but also loving every minute. So trying to kind of find grounding space in amongst it all. The bus sessions, we were on and off the bus a lot because part of the tour is going to see as many beautiful locations as you can. And that was amazing, but also as artists, I think a lot of us wanted to stay in one place for longer because we wanted to sit and like do en plein air painting or drawing and surround ourselves in one spot for longer. That was something that we kind of figured like was not a traditional tour experience. Often with the touring, there's a lot of like you'll do a guided tour and then you go to this place and this place, whereas we sort of wanted to stay, like maybe not see as many places and stay in one spot for longer. And as we were driving on the bus, we sort of had to stop for some traffic and drawing like little moments and pockets when the bus was still, because I couldn't really draw when we were moving because that is like, it's gonna make you sick. But when we were paused and we could kind of chill, I wanted to just do little sketches of things that I found interesting. Dog, obviously. This was, look, I can't remember where we were. I know we were, no, maybe that was where the dog was. I think I did it from a photo, but it was just this bay. So it was quite sort of moody in terms of it was overcast, and you had this beautiful open bay and these dark mountains, and then over here it's just this lonesome house or sort of mini mansion, I guess, that was well kept, obviously is still in use, maybe as like a hotel type thing. And that was just, yeah, just these, you look, there were so many moments where you're like, that's photo perfect, or like, that's a moment fit for just to be recorded. And that happened all the time. So that was quite overwhelming as well. This was another place we went to. Don't ask me what it was, but it had a garden, and like it was a house. It was like an estate, I guess, that then had gardens and then was on a bay, like a little cove thing. And I took some photos, and I also started sketching, and I've written here, what a deeply strange and heartwarming experience. What came first, the music or the emotion? I think, again, trying to find grounding in music. But yeah, just really beautiful seeing one of my fellow tour folks sitting under a tree, and then realizing this was so far away. This probably looks closer than it actually was, but it was just some person sitting very, very far away on the corner of this bay, and it just was lovely. And I wanted to record that because it was nice. This is kind of a close-up of this. So Valen was sitting under a tree, and the bay's kind of off here. I wanted to play around with, I don't know, different kind of textury stuff. And I don't really do, I don't know. Trying to play around with whimsy and depth and color and all the things, and just doing what feels intuitively right. Not going in with too much of a plan, which is pretty common for me. Yeah. And this, where have we got? And a physical space to lay. No, and a physical space to land might come later. Are others as confused as I am? Overwhelmed, overstimulated, full to the brim of wonder and finding it pouring from my fingertips, seeking a place or space to go. Again, just like, yeah, kind of, I think I realized on this trip how overwhelmed I get in really chill situations. So then this was like just many levels up, but was also wonderful, but was, yeah, just very overwhelming. And I think I was just finding it hard to place those feelings because I couldn't really ignore them. They were there whether I acknowledged them or not. This was, we stopped at the one, it's called like, Adair Village. It's really cute. And this was in the park, and some of my fellow tour people were like walking and taking photos, and I just took some time out to do a little sketching, and that's Sophie with the hydrangeas, which were beautiful. A turning inwards to make sense of the overwhelm, to untangle the multiple threads of current experiencing, to reduce the input, to tend to the burnt edges, and come back to a process. Again, I think I was trying to make sense of how I was feeling because I started to get really depressed and I didn't know why. I think it's overwhelm and burnout. But yeah, it was really confusing because I'm in this place where I'm having an amazing time. These people, it's really hard to explain how wonderful the people are that we traveled with, because we are all united by following Sophie, and Sophie as a human is weird and fun and shy and whimsical and introverted. And so that meant that the people who gathered around her and came on the tour are quite similar, and it just was really lovely. These are the people that I would want to travel with anywhere and everywhere. And so to be feeling depressed is very confusing. And so I think this was trying to understand how I was feeling. We went to the cliffs of Moher, don't know how to say it. And again, was really beautiful, but I was really overwhelmed. And Yeah, that's okay. I saw a dog. I saw lots of dogs actually. That was great. But I spent time by myself again, and that was helpful. Oh, this was when we stopped. We stopped for a while in the traffic and started sketching a bit. Traffic stopped drawing on our way to Connemara National Park. It's quite easy to get lost in a hurting heart and fearful brain, but sometimes all you need is a good long sleep and a space to breathe out. Dig. Sorry, Digby was dreaming. I think that, yes, this again, kind of recognizing that this depression and like sadness that I was feeling was really related to being overwhelmed and tired. And so that was, yeah, part of this process of trying to chill. And then this was Connemara, based on a Connemara National Park. This is from Quinlan. Quinlan found 15 plus four-leaf clovers at her home in the States and laminated them and gave them to everyone. I've never in my life found a single four-leaf clover. And she found 15 minimum, I think 16. Like, how incredible. And now it's in here forever, which I love. Oh, this was we did a game which was so lovely. Basically, you sit all looking at the same like view, and everyone draws for 2 minutes and then passes their journal around. So by the end of 16 times 2 minutes, everyone has drawn in everyone's journal and contributed to one artwork. And that just is the coolest thing ever. So this is mine, and I love it so much. It just makes me so happy knowing that everyone was a part of this artwork becoming. And they all look so different because everyone is actually sitting in different spots. And so people's perspective is different. People choose to focus on different things. It's a very cool activity. I highly recommend it. And yeah, this was just really beautiful. And that was at Connemara Park. This was at Loch Inach. I don't actually think we were supposed to stop here for very long. Our bus driver, Jerry, and our tour guide, like we'd been speaking about how we weren't spending long enough in places to draw and that we'd rather kind of not see as many places. And Jerry, we stopped here for the view, but it was incredible. And there was like this little picnic spot on the side of the road, and we were able to sit there and actually spend quite a bit of time painting. And that was lovely. There were no tourists around really, except for like one or two, because it's like a roadside lookout spot. It's not really a tourist destination as such. So this was really nice because we actually had a bit of time to just be and paint and look, and so that was lovely. This is more little pockets of Connemara Park. There was, yeah, just beautiful horses. It was so lush and green, and again, by this point, like overwhelmed by the beauty of landscapes and just how much everything was beautiful. That was kind of hitting strong. This was once we'd gotten back to Dublin. No, this was in Glasgow, I think. I was feeling sick, but people were going to go to the art store. And so I gave Nor some money and said, can you buy me art materials up to this amount of the money I've given you? And yeah, go nuts. And so Nor took my pencils so that she could see what I already had and then bought accordingly. And it was the loveliest. Yeah, this was very cool. And not only like not being able to go because I felt sick, but then having Nor come back and I got to like explore everything was very cool. And I think Nor said it was very fun to be able to do that. So yeah, that was good. This is the, like, towards right near the end, we were all drawing in each other's journals because it was kind of towards the end of the trip. And so I wrote, "What the heck, why is everyone so amazing?" And yeah, everyone drew little drawings, and this makes me smile just looking at it, and realizing what a like freaking rad cohort of people everyone was. And like that's just, again, that's so rare to like go across the world and experience, yeah, a group of people who all are magnificent. And yeah, it just makes me really happy. So I think this is my favorite page. Yeah, it's so cool. And so by now, I think this was when we might have already started going to Scotland. Not a lot of time spent thinking this is how I am, but a lot of time thinking, is this how I should be? This is just my constant questioning of how to be a human around other humans. Yes. I'm not going to try and say it. Knock on the door. Ireland. Can't say that. Loved this for the like clash of colours and also the like rugged rock naturey part with this life growing out of it in a beautiful way. Yeah, this was arriving in Scotland. So there's kind of going to be a crossover time. These were images from in Ireland. That's Fallon. This was the tunnocks. They're like, oh, you call them tea cakes, but it's biscuit with marshmallow on top covered in chocolate. And Sophie says you crack them on your forehead and did it. And I asked how hard, and Sophie said, I don't know. And I thought it was way harder than it was, as you can see. And that was very silly and very funny. And then this was all the places we went from Scotland. This was in Wick. I think this is probably one of my favourites out of the book from Scotland. Wick is where Sophie's from, and I don't know if it was just that, but also like the landscape and where it is in relation to everything else, because it's right at the top of Scotland. It's very isolated, and these cliffs drop off into the ocean, and then it's just ocean for a long time. And over here is the old castle of Wick, which I did not draw. Instead, I focused on drawing Sophie, who was drawing the castle of Wick. That was really cool. This was Dunrobin Castle. We went there and planned to spend ages drawing in the park because the park was just immaculate, manicured. Jesus Christ, the amount of money these people have, because it's still an active abode. Not the whole thing, but yes, people from the Dunrobin, or whoever owns it now, whatever family, they're still, they still stay on the estate. But it started raining, so we couldn't spend ages there, and that was really disappointing. I remember having a lot of trouble just trying to, like, this isn't what it looked like, and trying to kind of decode the landscape to then replicate was really hard because you don't have sort of 5 days to do one drawing. And so there's a lot of things of not how it actually was, which is a little bit frustrating, but I'm happy that I did it. Very happy I did it. And the colours were so fun. This was in Wick as well. Puldagan Farm. We kept saying Puldagon, but it's Puldagan. And they have a restaurant there. And Sophie went and visited family. And I stayed there and just drew the Highland cows that were really beautiful and had mixed results. It had not been stung by a bee, but that's just how the painting ended up, you know? This was Dornoch Beach, which again was so lovely. It's summer over there, so all of the like families are they're all on holidays. This is their summer break. It was very cool. and I've written, how do you know what is real and what isn't when it is intangible? And just trying to figure out how, which feelings to follow. Yes, I don't know how to explain that feeling, but that was very cool. And then this says, a wee bit exhausted, a wee bit overwhelmed. How do you know what decisions to make about the way you live your life when you know that the current way isn't working? Will I always be asking these types of questions? This is the point in the trip where you just second guess everything you're doing in your life. I don't know. Yeah, I'm assuming some people do this. And this was the Trinky in Wick. When Sophie was talking about this, I thought it would be. I didn't want to go there. It sounded terrifying. And when we got there, and like driving up to it, you're driving along a dirt gravel road to what looks like the edge of the world, like the edge of a cliff, because it is off a cliff. It's very stressful, but once we got there, it was so cool. It's like a semi-natural pocket of like pool where they've dug into the slate and put this white paint down that's grippy, and it's been there for like since the early 1900s, like the 1920s maybe. And Soph's mum's family, played in it when they were growing up. And so this actually ended up being lovely. But I had been really scared of it. I don't know why, but it was very cool. And then this was Wick. I loved Wick so much. This says, I don't think I feel sad or concerned about feeling sad anymore. I've done that time and space, and sadness is maybe just my response to the overwhelm. I guess I wonder mostly about how to do life with this sadness, how to earn enough money to meet my needs, assert my desire for space, for slowness, when both of these are a luxury. When expected skills of living are not met or are not enough, and what a beautiful privilege to even reach this space of questioning and seeking. So again, just thinking about how I experience sadness, and like sadness is a bit of a default, and reflecting on what is unsustainable in my life, as sort of someone who doesn't really fit into capitalism very well, and how the heck do you do life? So obviously still in the questioning life portion of my trip, but again, kind of realizing that even getting to this point of being able to reflect feels like such a privilege, because that's not a space that has been reachable before, but also is not reachable for many people. Wick is fascinating. It's really quiet and old. I love it so much. I don't know how to explain it. There's something magical about it. This was in Dornoch. When we were over there, it was the time of the Scottish Games, like all the traditional Scottish Games, and they also have regular Highland, like their bagpipe band performing on the weekends. So I think this was a Sunday evening, and their band marches sort of down the street playing on their main street, and then also Highland dancers perform. And it was just very, very, very cool to be, because bagpipes are very loud, and you're kind of enveloped in sound. You don't really have a choice to listen or not, but you kind of can just give yourself over to it and experience that like resonance that comes with it. It's kind of like creates that intensity of an orchestra, but there's no orchestra, it's bagpipes, because they're so loud. It was really special. And this is near Dornoch, is near Wick, and I have Scottish heritage, and it was just a special experience to feel kind of connected to something, which is, yeah, not something I regularly feel. So that was really nice. This was Balmoral Castle. This was driving back to Edinburgh. We wanted to go to Balmoral Castle. When we got there and realised it was closed. So to get to the castle, there's a bridge. And so we went and sat under the bridge because it was raining and sort of did some painting and drawing there. I was very dizzy because the water was going really fast and my eyes were confused, and so it made me dizzy. But this little pocket where we were was so beautiful. Again, that like confused feeling of seeing so much beautiful like nature that is just, you want to preserve it in it. Like it's like everything is picture perfect. Everything is cinema, like I don't know if what the word is, but it was amazing. Ugh, so good. Also very loud because under a bridge water is loud. This was when we got to Edinburgh. It was Fringe Festival, and that Edinburgh Fringe is nuts because the city like quadruples in size. And we did a tour. We went to St. Giles Church, and that was beautiful church. And there was this weaving project happening, which I participated in. That was really lovely. We did a tour, and I wanted to draw St. Giles, who loved animals and like saved an animal and like got hurt saving an animal. That is like the worst explanation ever, but apologies, too bad. This comes in later. So yeah, Edinburgh was amazing and overwhelming. This was, okay, so when we left Edinburgh, we flew back to London. And when we got to London, I found out a friend of mine, Hannah, who I haven't seen or, had contact with. We were sort of acquaintance friends, that she had passed earlier in the year. And I hadn't known. And I found out like just online, and it was shocking. It was shocking. And her passing is a ridiculous tragedy. Let's not go into it. It's very frustrating. The mental health system is fucked. She couldn't, in the state she was in, I guess, she couldn't marry the thought of living in the world around her as it was. And so left. And she was someone who, I kind of then connected in with this sense of just loving fully and kind of, I guess, finding out that might not be the natural state of the world. And how do you live in a world where your heart loves so openly and intensely and potentially others don't? So this kind of merged into a little, reflection on her passing, which was devastating. We weren't close. We were sort of connected through our experiences of mental illness. And her passing had a lot to do with the mental health system in Victoria and the NDIS system in Australia. And so that was, a big knock. But she's magical. I think I had moved on to this possibly even when we got back. No, I don't know. But just wanting to represent the heather at the top of mountains. When we were driving from Dornoch to Edinburgh, we drove over mountains that I'm guessing in winter it's like these would be the ski slopes, or look, there was ski resorts. We passed those. That's what made me think that. But it was just mist, and then you could see heather and then road, which was so different to a lot of the surroundings of like lush greenness. This was like a really deep bluey greenness, and then mostly like dark browns, and then you get this smash of mustard color. It's just so rugged and earthy and inviting. Yeah, it was amazing. These are from the trip. Quiet moments, seemingly fragile but persisting beyond the gaze, strong and gentle. This was a little sketch of Glenfinnan, and this has little bits of. I had all these papers and I didn't know what to do with them, so I circle cut them, and they're like all the little receipts and tickets and flyers and information booklets and flight things. So I just wanted to keep them, and this little envelope I got on the trip. So that's the sweet detritus pocket of tangible memories, energetic biscuits. And this was the crofts that we stayed in Dornoch. It was beautiful. This says, and I'll learn not to be scared of heavy strokes and bold colours, and one day I might learn restraint and balance, but maybe not, and that's okay. So this was kind of like acknowledging you might want to be something as an artist and maybe you're not there, and that I want to not be scared of putting marks on paper, and one day I'll get to restraint, but like if I don't, that's fine. And so rather than not mark making because I'm scared, I'd rather mark make and never get to that point of refined restraint, I guess. Yeah, so that's the house. This was the last night, I think, and the sunset was disgustingly beautiful. So I took a lot of photos, and these are some of the chickens. Sophie is incredible at drawing chickens. And so I was inspired by her chicken drawings. I did this when we got home. These were separate photos that I put together as I was wanting to fill up the rest of this journal. And yeah, I'm really happy. The face, I really stuffed up my own face and fixed it by sticking a new face on. And I was really proud of myself for doing that. And proud for doing people, because people are hard to draw, and I really like it. It's cool. And this was using rainbow pencil. I'm sorry. This is Nadia. It's not the best drawing. This was a drawing of Nadia, who, it's a terrible drawing, but the photo is beautiful. And then this is, we wore gummy rings and we were all married, and moss, I think that is Jack running their hand on the moss. That's me and Nadia holding hands, and just wanting to this was when I'd gotten home and I wanted to acknowledge this magic of friendship and just the moments of groundedness with other people. So that's really cool. And again, I'm so sorry, it's just not very good. And then that's that. I wanted to finish this. A heart message. I don't know what that means. Oh, I wanted to write a heart message. And so I haven't done like a tour because I hadn't finished it. And then I put it on a bookshelf. So instead of expecting myself to finish it, I thought I'd do this first. And it'll probably never get finished, and that's okay. And that's the back. So yeah, that's my trip. I had forgotten how, I quite like where I landed with trying to understand my experience while documenting the beauty around me. Heck, what a trip. It makes me emotional just thinking about it. So that's that. Wandering Scribble Club does Ireland, and then Sophie and I do Scotland. Thanks for watching. You're great. See you later.